Gone are the days of formal etiquette. So, what should you do in the maddening social situations you face every day? How long should you take to respond to that message? What should you say to get out of that gathering? When you start seeing a new therapist, how do you talk about it with your first therapist whom you are still seeing? This is No Etiquette, the podcast where we address modern etiquette questions in a nonsense fashion. I'm Vivian Lee, coming to you from Singapore, and joining me is my best friend, Sophia Bose in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hi, Sophia.
Hi, Vivian. How are you?
I am doing pretty good, but you have had a rough couple of weeks, which I realized when you told me about how you've been taking your coffee.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Should I
May I
repeat
invite you
how
to...
I've been
Yeah,
taking? Yes.
please.
Um, so, um, I have transitioned from, well, first there was beans, which is the way to
Mhm.
have coffee. You take the beans and you grind them. Um,
And you have a special grinder for this, right?
I have a grinder that I quite like.
A
It's
burr
very
grinder.
special. Burr grinder. It's the fellow something. I forgot the name, but it's a good grinder. Um,
And just to
and
set the scene a little more, sorry to keep interrupting. It's
no,
like
please do.
it's the kind of grinder you put the beans in and you like turn the crank, right? Actually, is that
Oh
is that
no,
how it goes?
that used to be so that was my hand grinder, and then I got like a proper one that I didn't used to use my hand. I don't have to use my hand for this.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's
It
so it's
just
an electric grinder?
yes, it's an electric
Okay.
grinder. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's got really good, the grinding mechanism is quite good.
Okay.
But I've been having kind of a rough few weeks, and so typically I buy my beans from this like little local like coffee shop. They roast their own beans. It's really great.
Mhm.
And it's a bit a ways from my place. It's like maybe a 20-minute walk, which is fine, but it's been very cold.
Mhm.
And so um what I did is when I first bought this grinder of mine, I bought some like Starbucks beans that I used to clean to sort of the first time I used this grinder, I didn't
Mm.
want the taste of the new
Mm.
metal. Like, so I wanted to run some beans through it. So I
Yeah,
got some like
okay.
Starbucks beans because I was like, I don't want the best beans to just
Yeah.
throw away because I was not going to use them.
Mhm.
So I used like half of the bag on starting the machine, whatever. But when I got back from my travels and I was just down in the dumps and I didn't have any of my good coffee from my fancy coffee place, all I had was like half a bag of those Starbucks beans. And I was like, you know
Mhm.
what? This is bad, but this is better than nothing.
Mhm.
So I that was what I had for a while.
Mhm.
When that was done,
Yeah.
I
Oh, and
still
you
needed
use after that you put them in a French press? Sorry, just trying to lay out the whole
yeah, so
coffee routine.
once you have the grounded up beans, um, I would just I always did a French press. That's how I brew it. So I finished the bag of Starbucks coffee, and
Mhm.
then I still didn't go and buy more from my place that I typically buy it from, and so I went into my cupboard and I got out this like old can of like instant coffee that a friend had given me. And at the time when she gave me this coffee, I was grateful, but also like I will never drink instant coffee. So
Mhm.
I remember thanking her profusely and thinking I would never drink it. But because I needed it, I drank it. So I finished that entire bottle. Like I finished the entire can of
Mhm.
that instant coffee, and then
What is the brand,
it
may I ask?
was Trader Joe's. It's quite good. I mean, as far as it goes,
Okay.
Trader Joe's has this like new instant coffee thing. It's not new, but it's
Okay,
been
okay.
so then, after that, I still didn't muster whatever energy I needed to go to my place. It's only a 20-minute walk, but it felt like a really long walk. So then what did I do? I ordered groceries and I noticed that you could buy like cold brew, like concentrate. And so I
Mhm.
bought some cold brew concentrate. And I've just
Cold brew
been
concentrate? So, like, you're supposed
cold
to
brew
dilute it?
concentrate. Yes, but with cold water, like, you know. So
Uh-huh.
instead, I would dilute it with hot water. And so that's what I've been drinking. Um,
That was the moment I realized just how bad things were with you because we caught up for the first time, basically the first time in 3 weeks, I think.
3 weeks.
2 or
Yeah.
3, like 3-ish weeks. It was the only week we had not like video called each other.
Yeah.
And I had the dim sense that things were going dark with you, and you were
Yes.
sharing all the things that had happened, and I was kind of going, okay, things are bad. But it was really when you told me what happened to your coffee routine that I realized just how bad things were. Because you drink a lot of coffee. This is a real staple, right? You drink
This is a
several cups a
staple.
day throughout
Yes,
the
I
day
do.
and the night.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. I'm
Um,
so grateful that was, no, 'cause yeah, it is hard to describe where one is in one's life, but the fact that
mhm.
you understood, I think that was the moment I saw in your eyes the comprehension of what had happened to me.
Yeah. And it's not that I had none, right? Like you saw that I was having, and I was telling you, like, oh, I didn't know things were this bad. Things were, I had
Uh-huh.
dawning comprehension.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
when you
yeah.
told me that you were drinking cold brew with hot water, and that was after instant, you don't even ever drink instant. But that was when this is a new low.
Yeah, I don't think I'd even told you the instant coffee piece of it, right? 'Cause that happened in between.
No.
Yeah, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
didn't, yeah. No, once I'd finished the instant coffee, then I went to this, yeah. So
This is actually, this may be the worst I've ever heard of happening to someone's coffee routine. Like, okay, I have the closest analogy I have to this.
Uh-huh.
This is such a piece of something is
Uh-huh.
the original, like the I think there's only been, okay, there's the first Tomb Raider movie. If
Uh-huh.
you read the novelization of it,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
which I think I maybe did or didn't do, but somebody on fan fiction kind of mentioned it.
Uh-huh.
But there was the character Alex West, who's played by Daniel Craig, like pre James Bond
Uh-huh.
Daniel Craig.
Uh-huh.
But there's like a scene where I think he microwaves maybe like store-bought coffee or something, or like instant coffee.
Uh-huh.
There's
Uh-huh.
there's something he does with microwaving it that is supposed to be like
Oh.
an extra sad, like a
Yeah.
bachelor down
Yeah,
on
yeah,
his
yeah.
luck, like
Yeah.
archaeologist Tomb Raider
Yeah, yeah,
character.
yeah.
It's supposed to
Yeah.
establish how pathetic it is. It has to do with
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Maybe it's microwaving instant coffee or something, but like
Mm.
there's an extra sad dimension to it.
Mhm.
And but I think there's something really extra love about putting hot water in your cold
Yeah.
brew. Like not even making cold brew with your cold brew concentrate,
Yeah.
but
No, no.
making it into hot coffee with your hot water, which like I think you boil on a stove, but goodness knows if you had like an even like sadder way to do it, you would, right?
Probably, I mean, I guess I have electric kettle since I wasn't boiling water on the stove and,
Okay.
like, yeah.
Yeah, you have a kettle. Okay. Maybe uh, what's even lower? It's either putting in tap water, just lukewarm tap water, or just drinking it
Oh.
straight, right? Like,
Yeah, lukewarm tap water probably would be the worst. Like, if I were to just, like, oh, no, not even lukewarm. If I couldn't even boil the water, if I just didn't even have it in me to boil the
yeah,
water and just turn the
right.
tap to the hottest
You
possible
turn the
setting.
tap on. Oh, oh, that's bad. That's pretty
That
bad.
would
That's
be
pretty
quite
bad.
bad.
But I have to say, with you and Alex West, it's the sad thing is that some dimension of preparation is still going into it because what
This is
another
true.
person would do is just buy canned coffee, maybe in Asia or something, or
Oh,
or like the Starbucks kind that comes in the bottle or
yeah,
something, like
yeah.
or like what I liked to do when I lived in California. This wasn't like it was it was not for lack of coping, but like
Yeah.
just sometimes I would go to the Vietnamese coffee chain and get their really
Uh-huh.
big gallon jug of cold brew and just
Ah.
pour that out of the gallon jug, which you weren't supposed to keep for more than 2 or 3 days, but I would keep for a week or something, and
Oh,
just, like, drink,
wow.
like, fully instant fully ready-made coffee. But there's
Cold?
some extra. Hmm?
Cold? Do you
Cold.
drink it
Yeah,
cold?
yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, like, well, I drank it cold as cold brew, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was,
yeah.
like it was Vietnamese coffee with, like, all the
Yeah,
stuff already added to
yeah,
it, so you couldn't
yeah,
heat it up.
yeah.
But there's the slight sadness of still trying to do some preparation, but
Yes.
it's, like, sad
Yeah.
preparation that makes a sad drink. I'm sorry to keep saying this, but this is
No, it's true. It's absolutely it's what it is, you know? Um,
I thought and dear listeners, the topic of today's episode will be coffee etiquette. So we'll discuss the etiquette of all these things I'm saying about putting Sophia down for her coffee expressions of the last few weeks. I
Oh.
thought I had sort of hit not exactly a low, but as I had
Uh-huh.
told you, in Brain Scramblies November, when I
Uh-huh.
was playing Dragon Age Veilguard about
Mhm.
6 or 7 hours a day,
Mhm.
while also working. So I was just waking up early and playing and then going to work and then coming home and playing. And
Yeah.
a very deliberate thing I did to save time so I could play
Uh-huh.
more Dragon Age was I
Uh-huh.
switched from coffee, like, and I don't, we have a machine that grinds the beans. So like it's
Uh-huh.
literally you turn it on and you press a button, but you have to clean the
Uh-huh.
machine afterwards is the
Uh,
thing. You have to like scrape it out and
mhm.
So there is still a certain amount of coffee prep work that goes into it. So to save
Yeah.
time, I
Yeah.
switched to instant coffee, but we have
Uh,
very good like I think Singapore
yeah.
instant coffee is one of the great secret gifts of the it's sort of like like the really good instant noodles, like the
Yeah, yeah,
really good
yeah.
instant ramen, like that's kind
Yeah.
of our standard of really good. There is
Yeah.
very good instant coffee that is,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
pretty acceptable to drink
Yeah, yeah,
on a
yeah.
daily basis. Um,
Yeah.
but that was a real choice I made. But
Wow.
it is sad to hear what happened to you.
Yeah. It's degradation. It's no good.
You've abased yourself.
I have.
But not even kind of deliberate, just sort of like through this is like Edith Wharton's House of Mirth or something. You've just like fallen. You're like a
I have
fallen
fun.
woman, and these are the stages
Oh
of
my
it.
gosh. These are the stages. Oh my goodness.
So on the subject of etiquette, of coffee etiquette, there's much to say, but I think what comes to mind first is just other people's judging of how other people take their coffee, because that seems to
Mhm.
make up a large part of it. And then there's
Yep.
the etiquette of how you make coffee for yourself or for other people and so
Yes.
on.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think I enjoy coffee and most beverages. Um, Something I appreciate is the variety of ways you can take them. Like you can either make a
Uh-huh.
whole coffee ritual or you can get, the fastest,
Yes.
2 second, like
Yeah.
pour it from the
Uh-huh.
urn
Uh-huh.
at wherever and just
Yeah.
go. Like you can
Yeah.
make as much or as little as you want out of it. This is sort of my standpoint.
Mhm.
And that said, I just sort of like launched into you for doing your current, which you're still doing, right? You're doing this hot
Yeah.
water into cold brew
Yeah.
concentrate
Yeah.
deal, like, um, but it's because I think it's a sign of your well-being and
I
lack
mean, it is.
thereof,
Yes, lack thereof, actually.
lack thereof at the moment.
Yes.
Do you feel that in general you judge people for how they take their coffee?
Um, I do. I do. But in a sort of dispassionate way. Like I'm not, I'm not okay, well, I'll give an example.
Uh-huh.
So my sister, she is a proponent of the instant coffee.
Mhm.
And so here's the thing. I don't It's hard to say that I don't judge her because I do. And maybe judge is not the right word. I notice it and I think
Mhm.
while noticing it that this is not how I would live my life. So it's not necessarily a negative thing, but I do make a point to think this is not how I will live my life.
Mhm.
So in that sense, I think that it is, you know, I don't know. I don't want to think of myself as a judgmental person, but okay, let's just say it. Okay, you know what? I am judging her. I am judging her for this. Okay, so this is what she does. She has her glass of like milk. She'll take milk, all milk. I think she'll
Uh-huh.
heat it, and then she'll add like a spoon or two of instant coffee to it, and then she'll add honey. So mostly this is milk and honey at this point with a little bit of instant coffee. And
Mhm.
then I think she wants to be able to get in her vitamins. And she has this like dropper. I can see the expression you're making here, Vivian, and it is precisely the expression I made when I saw her do it for the first time. She has this like dropper. I think it's vitamin D or B or a mixture of all of them. She like drops the vitamin drop. It's a liquid thing into
Uh-huh.
this concoction that she's made. And then
Okay.
she just like drinks the whole thing really fast. And that's her coffee in the morning.
Mhm.
Um so so yes, I do judge that quite a
But
bit.
you judge it. So like you said, you decide you will not do this yourself, but are you okay with your sister doing it for her since it meets her needs and requirements, or do you look upon her and and think or, you know, insinuate that what she's doing is offensive.
Um, I look upon her and insinuate that she shouldn't call this coffee. This is something else. This is not coffee. This is
Mm,
her. This is her getting her vitamins in the morning time. Like when you and I were in like Stavanger and there was those
yeah,
little cups of oil and,
yeah,
like vitamins and such. Like
yeah.
I see it as that rather than
Mhm.
this is not our coffee as we know it as people. This is some other drink.
I think I'm recalling this about you, where um, your judgment lies around what coffee is. And so if people are doing something outside of that, you think like this is not coffee. Like you're doing something else, that's
Yes.
okay, but
Yes,
don't
yes,
call
yes.
it coffee because
Yes,
coffee has to be this particular thing.
exactly. Yes, that is how this is how I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and two things. The first is I think I vaguely remember what Alex West did with his coffee, which I think he would
Uh-huh.
buy he would buy store-bought coffee or he would
Uh-huh.
make instant coffee with hot water because you have to dissolve it,
Uh-huh.
and then
Uh-huh.
he would put it in the fridge, and then when he wanted coffee, he would take it out and microwave it.
Oh my
That was the
god.
routine.
That is very good. That is so good. That is so bad it's good. That's lovely. Okay, okay, okay. That's what he did.
Is that within what coffee is for you, or is this should we call this something else? Because
No, this is
he's
something
not
else.
adding anything to it.
I mean, this is something else, certainly. Like, what is the no, this is it's treating coffee as okay, this is how I feel about people that eat Soylent. Like Soylent is not
Okay.
food, right? I mean, it's nutrition, but it's not food. I mean,
Mm,
sure, okay, it's food, but it's not.
mhm, mm,
It's a different category of something. Yes, it's giving you nutrients,
mhm.
but
Yeah, or it's
it's
your
very
morning drink that has coffee in it and tastes of coffee or something.
yes, yes. It's your morning
Yeah,
drink that has
yeah,
coffee in it or tastes of coffee, but it is not
yeah.
coffee.
I think you are much more, dare I say, snobbish than me in this realm of defining coffee.
Ah,
Because, like, for example, like when
uh-huh,
I was telling you, I recently came back from a family vacation to Vietnam and I was telling you about
uh-huh,
egg coffee, which I
uh-huh.
adored. And you, I think, okay, also you tend to take coffee, you take it black with nothing in it. You don't even like milk in it because you say that milk like takes you further from the coffee.
Yes, it does take you further from the coffee, yes.
Hmm. And
Uh-huh.
so like I was explaining to you about egg coffee, which is black coffee with a layer of sort of like really it's like a custard, kind of like
Yeah.
ranges from there, and it's a mixture of egg yolks and sweetened condensed milk. And I think some places kind of add a bit of cream or something to get a different
Uh-huh.
texture.
Uh-huh.
But I was telling you how fantastic it was, and
Uh-huh.
you were saying something like, "It sounds very good, and I would enjoy it, but as dessert, not as coffee."
Oh, that's so funny. I remember saying that too. I remember really liking the pictures, and I don't know, this some perverse piece of me like had to like stick in the yes, yes, I'd like it, but as dessert, not oh
Yeah,
great, Vivian, great coffee that you're
yeah,
drinking.
yeah. You really have this, and I really don't think of you. You're so in all your ways. You are so happy to get on board with other people. You know, I would have expected you to be like, "Oh, you're enjoying that coffee? Great, let's have this coffee." But for you, this is like your last stand or so. This is where you draw the line that only coffee can be coffee, and what many other people
Oh.
consider to be coffee, you cannot consider to be coffee. You have a certain purity around it, and I'm identifying this because I'll say so. Firstly, I think, and maybe this is laziness, but I've like backslid a little bit. But I think no, that's not true. Okay, wait. Let me try to be accurate here. I've I try to not be too fussy about the way I take my coffee
Mhm.
because I want a certain flexibility in that I have to have a cup to start the day and I want to be okay with whatever that cup is. Like if I'm traveling and all I can get is this,
Mm.
this is fine. Like, you know, on the train, on the plane, this is my cup for the day. And I
Yeah.
fully tolerate that. Like
Yeah.
and I try not to be too I've gotten a little soft. I do have stronger preferences for beans now, but like
Oh.
I mean for certain kinds, but like I try to be very like when I lived near Trader Joe's, I just told
Uh-huh.
myself like always just buy like the regular Trader Joe's beans that have like the I don't know, it comes in a green can with like the two cans on it. Like It's like kind of nice, but it's not too, it's not too fancy. To me, this is like
Uh-huh.
very basic grocery store level beans.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I
Uh-huh.
tried to always be okay with that so that I wouldn't be too upset if I didn't
Uh-huh.
get that.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
I have a direct analogy, I guess, with the way you think of coffee, which is how
Uh-huh.
I think of chocolate. I think at this point I am
Ah.
fairly choosy about what chocolate I eat. Not too, but like, yeah, like
Uh-huh.
actually maybe, yeah. Like I just will not go for
It's fascinating. I don't think I knew this
certain
about
kinds
you.
of chocolate. Yeah. Like it just like, yeah, I just won't eat Cadbury or something, like, or because I go like, this is not chocolate. This is too much other stuff in it. And this is
Ah.
not in my eating chocolate category.
Okay, okay. Question for you here. So,
Yeah.
if the Cadbury were to be the only um chocolate in the vicinity and you were in the mood for something sweet, would you just not eat it, or would you eat it and you'd say, "This is not chocolate. I'm just having this as a dessert item."
Probably the former, unless things were really dire, and then I
Wow.
would and then I would do the latter.
Wow. Okay, this is good. I'm glad that we each have our own sort of equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah. I think people have this to some degree, but so much forms around coffee preference because it's such an easy thing to make fun of and to make fun of people making
Yeah.
fun
Yeah. That's
of
true. It
like
is.
not liking how other people order their coffee or the way other people make it, or like if you're someone who has personal standards around
Uh-huh.
coffee,
Uh-huh.
um, sometimes you want other people to uphold them.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is not related to coffee,
Mhm.
but it's related to standards
Mm.
and it's similar. So my parents have, um, so I was visiting them recently, and for some reason, I really don't like plates. Like I like eating in bowls. Like I really
Mhm.
like eating in bowls, and my parents don't have a lot of bowls. Really, like they don't have bowls. They don't have that many bowls. And every time, like when we're gonna eat dinner, I would take like a serving bowl, like like a when you and I would eat my dinner in that, and it drove them insane. They hated it. Like, they hated it so much. Like, they had a visceral reaction to me eating my dinner in a bowl, and I kept doing it because didn't wanna eat it on a plate. Um, but it's that feeling, like, that reaction that they had to me
Mhm.
eating from a bowl is the reaction that I recognized in myself when I saw my sister taking a glass of milk, essentially, and putting a little bit of instant coffee in it, and then her, like, liquid vitamins and her, like
Like, the line shifts from, "This is not how I will live my life," to, "This is not how you should live your life." Right? I
Yes,
think this
yes,
is the
yes,
line
yes.
I'm trying to kinda get across because I think
Yes.
you can have one without the other.
Yes, you can.
Um, and I guess it's like when we as a society, there's enough critical mass around, "This is not how you should live your life," that's how we get, like, a
Yes.
standard. You will eat
Yes. Yes,
with
yes, yes.
cutlery and not, in I guess, like, our culture's not with your hands,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
some
Yeah,
cultures
yeah.
do eat with their hands. I'm not
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
say one is better than the other, but, like,
Yeah, yeah.
generally,
Yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah.
sit down to eat in the US, unless you're eating pizza or something, you will
Yeah,
use your
yeah.
cutlery.
Yes, you will.
This is our
Yeah, yeah,
line.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think, like, you take the side of coffee snob proponent, and I'll take the other side. But
Uh-huh.
as I think I enjoy sort of like I don't know, like the democracy or something of allowing everybody to have their own coffee preferences and routine without me needing to. There's goodness knows there's a lot of other things I try to control, but I think you can drink your coffee however you want, and I can drink my
Yeah.
coffee however I want. I just like I'll control how I drink my own coffee.
Yes.
Um, I'm okay with you having whatever coffee situation experience
Yeah.
paradigm you
Yes.
need. And I think that's what
Yeah.
I like about coffee specifically is that it can be prepared fast and
Mhm.
in a lot of different ways to fit what you need of it and how much you can put into it. I think that's
Yeah.
something I actively enjoy about
Yeah.
coffee, and to me, with the exception of, like, some instant coffee, most
Yeah.
coffee, the even when it's bad, it's good category
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
acceptable, or, like, there's something about it that's, like, still hits the spot, really, if you
Yeah.
really just need, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um But I think you take the opposite view.
Unfortunately,
No,
in the
this is good.
situation of
Let's do it. Yeah, tell me the opposite view.
um, well, I mean, I think it's fairly simple in that I just really think it is such a perfect thing, like
Mm.
coffee as what it is.
Mm.
I simply, it's like air. It's like changing air. Why would you do it? Because the way that the air is perfect in giving you what you need from it. And like if you were to add all the stuff to the coffee such that you can't even taste it anymore, then why? Then if you just want to be awake, then you can just take caffeine pills. Like why would you even? There's other ways to get energy than to take this perfect form and ruin it. I don't even have a more eloquent way of saying this.
I love that I kind of made you say that because that is maybe the single most and only judgmental thing I've ever heard you say. And I appreciate, I treasure this. I think this is wonderful. I think our differences are what make us special, etc. But yeah, you really have you have strong, yeah. So every time when we went on vacation, every time I got like a flat white, did you die a little inside because I was altering air?
I mean, yes, but also like this is what you needed to do, and I would accept you as a person no matter what you did. Like.
Okay, that's a good line. Like at least it doesn't diminish your measure of someone's humanity.
No, it does not. It does not.
But it does sort of upset and offend you.
Yes.
All right. Have you ever, maybe we're kind of finishing up here, but have you ever instructed someone to take their coffee differently, to stop desecrating and abusing air?
Yes. Have I ever instructed my sister? I tried,
Yeah.
and she said no.
That was the end of it.
The other thing I noticed is I have a friend who I also tried something similar, and I remember she was like, I think she initially was a good sport, and she said, yes, I'll try it the way you say, and it was very clear she did not appreciate it that way, and then the next day and the next henceforth she continued to take it the way she did, and we each recognized where we were different as people. And I didn't try to change her any further, but yes.
Yeah. Maybe last thing, since we started the episode on this, what does it mean to you to make your coffee in the right way? Because etiquette has everything to do with what we think is good and right and polite and, all of, what is good to do in the world with ourselves and other people. I just want to give you a chance to articulate what it means to you, to yourself, to do your coffee in the way that you feel it is right and meet.
This is a very philosophical question. And I don't think I've had enough good coffee in the past week to be able to answer it. Given you've seen my.
Sure, but you've also, sometimes like the breakthroughs come at our lows, right? Like
This is true.
you've tasted literally, kind of the other end of things. So
Yes.
you're
That's a really good question. I have a feeling it relates a lot to what people talk about when they talk about. Okay, this might be a I don't know if this is a bad example, but this is like the difference between wearing the right amount of makeup and wearing so much makeup that, like, you can't see the person, or like or it somehow changes the person. So it's like the preparing the coffee correctly, it enhances the coffee. And if you prepare it, for example, like the way I've been preparing it, it's not bringing out the best of the coffee. It feels like a sort of fundamental, like a disservice to the thing in itself. Or like it's like not honoring the thing in itself. That's how I perceive it.
That is a deeply philosophical thing to start your day with, but also to that runs throughout your day, because you drink coffee all the time. You drink it like, before you go to bed, which I kind of admire. I have not had that ability since I was about maybe 22 or something. But I think that's a really nice way of putting it. I think that is how kind of really good craftspeople or chefs or baristas or something talk about the importance of making the thing right? Like we talked about that Norwegian kind of Scandinavian cookbook I've been reading where all he
Yes.
talks about is the correct way to make the vegetable taste of the
Yes.
vegetable itself.
Yes. I was thinking precisely of something like that. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, what can come across as snobbery or purity kind of excessive to other people who are just like, well, I like my coffee with the taste of milk and sugar in it, to you is, like you said, I think makeup is a good comparison because there's people who say the point of makeup is to enhance your features and your natural beauty and bring it out. And those same people would say too much of it or doing it wrongly is obscuring the thing you are working with, or taking it further or making it poorly matching, right, what you have to your thing. That's lovely, Sophia. That's a wonderful sort of philosophical grounding, if I may make a pun, to coffee. I will think about that. I think for me, it has more to do with the stability of a routine or something, and sort of like maybe baseline. Maybe at the something. You know what? I think for me, it is a promise I keep to myself. There are so few of these that I honor properly, but like perhaps my one commitment to me. Okay, it's not my one commitment, but one of my most upheld commitments to myself is that I will get myself a cup of coffee in the morning in some fashion, ideally before I leave the house or place I've been staying. And that is just my little, like, whatever happens in your day, you've had your cup of coffee. I think that's what it is to me. And that is why I can accept all kinds of coffee to fill that space. But for you, it is a different underlying philosophical commitment. And that has everything to do. That shapes our ways that we see the etiquette around drinking coffee for other people. That's right. That's why I'm super on board with what your sister does, and you are revolted by it, which is fine.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm revolted, but I like how you summed it up. I think I appreciate it as a ritual that one partakes in. Like you have a place for it in your life, and I think that is. I don't necessarily think that my way of viewing it does the most justice to the coffee itself, because it can be a part of a person's routine in a different way. Yeah,
but yours does more to offer the humble coffee bean. I think that is fair to say.
Sure, yeah, which I think is less. It's not very human forward, So I like your, I like your philosophy towards it a little.
But being bean forward is also a good thing. I think that's beautiful. You're the champion of the bean. Why do we have to be human for? Why do we live in an anthropocentric world? That's arrogant.
Oh my goodness.
Woo. Well, this has been a great discussion. This is why talking about etiquette is kind of cool. It's never just about etiquette. It's about a lot of other stuff. And we could go on and on about coffee, and perhaps we shall at a later date because we love coffee very much.
We do.
But for now, please do send us your questions about coffee or otherwise at noetiquettepodcast@gmail.com. And thank you for joining us. We will see you next time here on No Etiquette. And until then, it is good etiquette to reflect on what we talk about when we talk about coffee, preferably after a cup of serviceable coffee, whatever that is to you. Sophia hopes that you grind your locally roasted beans with a burr grinder. We will see you next time.
Good night.